Good afternoon. My name is James Deitch. In this week's discussion, we're taking a look at the various denominations that comprised early American history. As a devout Lutheran, I decided to take a look at a denomination that I felt to be probably the most different from my own religion, and to better understand it and see what the similarities were and contrasts. So in looking at the Baptists, one of the things that we'll find is that there is a belief that they were descended directly from the historical Anabaptist movement, which is not the case. There are some similarities to that movement, but the differences in theology, geography, and their historical development are quite significant. The Baptist Church, as we know it today, was founded in the 17th century in England. There were two distinct groups there. One was the General Baptists, the other were the Particular Baptists. And both groups practiced a belief in baptism by immersion. They had a congregational form of church government, and they were part of the English separatist movement. In other words, because they, along with many other denominations, suffered from persecution, they wanted to separate themselves from the Church of England, initially trying to find freedom to worship as they pleased in the Netherlands. And they did that for a time before returning to England and developing a little bit further, ultimately coming to America and establishing themselves in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. But really, it was finally after being expelled from Massachusetts, which showed a great deal of intolerance towards others that did not share their beliefs of Puritanism. Roger Williams wound up settling in what is present-day Rhode Island. It was not yet a colony at that point. The association of the Baptists really looked to follow the beliefs and the theological positions of Jacobus Arminium, so they would be following generally an idea of Arminianism as it was described. For a period of time, the General Baptist Church experienced a period of decline, primarily due to the persecution for its beliefs and the intolerance from other denominations that was shown to it in the United States. But it continued to establish its presence in the Atlantic colonies and grew particularly in the mid-Atlantic states and in Rhode Island, ultimately expanding well into the South. Now, at the time of their forming, they were developing simultaneously with a lot of other congregations in the United States, and played a particular role in developing some of the beliefs and ideals and values for early United States. The views of atonement and the doctrines aligned very closely with the teachings of John Calvin, so you could consider them to be particularly aligned with Calvinism, and therefore they became known as Reformed Baptists. Now, Roger Williams, as I previously mentioned, around 1638, established a new colony by charter in Rhode Island, and that gave him a lot of freedom to go ahead and expand on the Baptist Church. In fact, in 1793, a survey showed that there were roughly about 1,030 Baptist churches across America. Of those, roughly 956 would be considered a particular Baptist congregation or Calvinist in nature. What's important about them is that they played a very influential role in successfully pushing for the amendment to the Constitution to protect religious liberty. We'll recall the letter from Thomas Jefferson to the Baptist Convention in Connecticut that specifically addressed the separation of church and state, and that's one of the things that the First Amendment is commonly known for, if not improperly known for. But back to the belief systems that thrive today, then and in the current church, is they hold very closely to the baptism by immersion, the sovereignty of God, the authority of Scripture, the truth of the Word, the autonomy of the local church, and the doctrines of grace. So you will not find a lot of creeds, which is unlike the Lutheran religion and by extension the Catholic religion, which the Lutheran religion broke away from, was one of the first, along with Calvinism, to break away from. So in general, what I would say is that there are a lot more similarities than there are differences in what the various denominations have in the United States, as long as they're following Christian doctrine. They all believe in truth, the sovereignty of God, the authority of the Word, and baptism, the one true baptism. And hopefully this will provoke some good discussion on this matter. Thank you. Bye now.